Anyway. Oh yeah, I got it.
Right?
Yeah, I think the bosses are going to be watching today. So,
Are we on?
Okay.
yeah, no pressure.
All right, we'll start.
You got this.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Are we on?
Wheelhouse.
Okay.
Hey everybody, Larry, Fort Worth Memories Museum, and all of our groups, Rick and Mary with Hometown Heroes, and y'all have a special guest today, and let's get the show started.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning,
Hey.
Mary.
Good morning.
We do have a special guest, and this is our first week back since before the 4th of July.
Did you see the birthday wishes our people gave you?
I did, and I appreciate them so much. That was so nice.
The ladies said, we know she's busy, but July 29th is our birthday party 10th birthday party at the Point. If you and your husband can make it, it's 10 to 2.
July 29th.
July, it's on a Saturday.
Yeah, that's a day that we'll be in. I wish I could. We'll be in Waco. We're actually doing my father-in-law's
Oh yeah.
memorial service in Waco at 2 o'clock at the Crying Shame,
Yeah.
which is what he wanted. He didn't
Yeah,
want
yes.
anything else. He wanted his favorite hangout to be the place that we did his memorial.
That's good if that happened.
Yeah, so we found out about a week or so ago that that's the day that we were going to get it knocked out, and so it's a little
Maybe for the
bittersweet.
11th. We'll get her for the 11th birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Today our guest is Mallory Morris, and Mallory and I, we met each other. You know, everything now is not AD and BC. It's after COVID, but I think it might have been before COVID. You think? It was at a golf course for PTSD.
I
with
had just,
Brian.
yeah, just moved
McElhaney.
here. It was the first year of COVID because
Okay.
I moved to Texas from South Carolina a month before COVID started.
Okay.
Like, what a wonderful time to move, you know? And then, yes, but we met at the PTSD Foundation
That's
golf
what it
tournament.
was?
And that was like my first real big like event that I
Is
did
that
for
right?
Veterans Land
Okay.
Board.
You did a good job.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you. I've grown and learned so much more. Like this job, I learn something every day. And if it's not something VLB related, it's something that the veteran community needs to know.
And you know, the Texas Veterans Land Board, it's kind of one of those names that you just think, what does that mean? You know, they just sell land. But we're going to find out today that they do a lot of things.
We do. I love to tell people that the Veterans Land Board takes care of you from the moment you sign your papers to your last breath on earth. And that starts with, you know, the young side of the house. That's our active duty military members, our National Guard, and our reservists. And, you know, the reservists kind of get the short end of the stick. If they don't have 90 active duty days prior, they have to wait 20 years. But then we'll go to the veteran side of the house. You just need 90 active duty days. Pretty much, you know, you will still service you if you have a medical discharge, but if you have a dishonorable discharge, not so much. But then a lot of people also don't realize that we also help surviving spouses of somebody who was killed in action or missing in action. But the veteran who went missing or was killed needed to have lived in Texas when that happened.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. You said 90 days, the reservist, because, you know, my last 15 years I was a lot of years full-time in the reserve, and then as a first sergeant I was out there a lot, and I helped a lot of folks. But 90, when you say 90 days, is that including basic and tech school, or is that exclude initial active duty for training? It's IADT.
All right, I think the bosses are watching today, but I think that does include basic, but we could definitely follow up for anybody that's listening today about that.
Yeah, because that's important
Yeah.
information because, you know, back in the day, reserves usually had more people that had come off active duty and gone into the reserve like
Yeah.
I did, and then finished serving, so they had all that active duty time, so it really wasn't an issue. But today, the reality is we have a lot more young people that are coming right into the reserve, so
Right.
they can go to college at the same time
Right.
and continue their career. So a lot of times what they have, unless they get on seasoning training or they get on a deployment early in their time, they're not going to have 90 days
Right.
other than basic and tech school.
Right. So that's definitely something I can swing back around, but I do think that counts because, like you said, most people today, I mean, knock on wood, thankfully we haven't had a war. And so, besides constant rotations, thankfully things have been pretty peaceful. So, not everybody is, deployed like everybody else who has in the past.
How did you get involved with the land board? What did you do before you came to Texas?
I feel like I've been one of those people that's had all kinds of jobs. But I had a 15-year career in political campaigns and state government in South Carolina. I am, it's looking back at my career, almost everybody that I have worked for that has run for office has now either have or currently running for president of the United States. And, with politics, life is just, or the job is seasonal. And I was ready for a big girl job. So I went to Columbia, South Carolina, and worked for the South Carolina Attorney General for almost 4 years. And I just wasn't really happy. I felt very stagnant. And I knew that I always wanted to do something with military. I just didn't know what. And my first idea was the USO. Then I learned how quickly those jobs are coveted. So I reached out to Governor Jeb Bush, who I had worked for when he ran for president, and his son, who is the current land commissioner here in Texas. And I just said, I'd like to have a conversation about helping military. And I don't know how I can do it, but I know that I've helped them all throughout my campaign career because I met them out in the field. And I have to say, when I was working for Senator Tim Scott back in South Carolina, I met this gentleman, Vietnam vet, suffered from Agent Orange, and this was over 10 years ago when the VA didn't do anything for you.
Right.
And I never forgot him. And he fuels me every day to do this job because I now realized why I came to Texas. I'm using my voice for the voiceless, and that is our veterans. And this job has just become full circle for me. I've never been so fulfilled being able to help all of you because some people had a really crappy transition. Some have had good transitions, but especially for the older generation, I meet people all the time where they're like, who are you? Where have you been? And so, we like to joke that the Veterans Land Board is Texas's best kept secret.
It
but
is indeed.
We don't want to keep it a secret anymore. Yeah. So, I really feel that God led me here to use my talents from politics to, help serve the veterans community. And so I reached out to them in 2019 after first getting denied with a job with the agency a year prior. But it turned into a job interview the next day. I went home at Christmas and I said, by the way, I'm moving halfway across the country. And my family was like, excuse me? And I had no family here, no friends. I didn't know a soul. It was just a true leap of faith.
You know a few people now, don't you?
Yes. I have to say, y'all, particularly Roll Call, y'all have really embraced me. And y'all have truly become my second family. And, coming to the luncheons, every month, it truly feels like home. And I tell people, I was like, even if you think you don't want to go, you need to go. Because it's just the biggest warm hug as soon as you walk in the building. And, just sitting with the veterans, and you may not know any, but they become your family as soon as you sit down. And so that's kind of, how I got here. I still can't believe it's been 4 years now, but, the pandemic kind of took away 2 of that. And everyone's like, oh, you should know your way around Texas now, right? And I was like, no.
Especially as big as you could live here 20 years and now you know your way around.
The biggest thing I have learned, though, when you want to go somewhere in the Metroplex, give yourself an extra 30-plus minutes.
At least, if not an hour.
Yeah, and so it's this morning I was like, okay, Fort Worth on a good day with no traffic is 45 minutes, so we need to plan an extra 30 because people like to be not so smart in the mornings and there's always an accident. So luckily it was a smooth sailing. The worst was I think there was some debris on the roads that they had trucks this morning. But, what an incredible place to live, though. Everything you could ever want is right here in the Metroplex. And everybody asked me, do you miss being at home? And I'm like, I do. I miss the beach and I miss my, family and friends, but this is incredible out here. It truly is a blessing.
The promised land, you know.
Spoken
Yeah.
like a true Texan.
Yeah. But it's just, and this agency has just given me so much, and I love, volunteering is very special to me. I was in the Key Club in high school, Circle K. I did the whole Kiwanis thing, and now I feel like I get to volunteer every day, but it's my job, and I mean I'm one of the few that say that my job, it's not hard to work my job because it's just so fulfilling.
How many events do you do a month on average? Because you go to a lot of different places.
I do. We try to keep the calendar busy. A lot of the events where veterans or military events are at, they're usually on weekends. But starting this weekend, I think through Veterans Day, I'm working almost every single weekend. Because there's always something. As you know, our agency has the booth at the State Fair every year.
Oh, that's right.
So, that's a great time for people to come and talk to us. We will be there every single day. We are in the Go Texan building. So, we're in air conditioning, clean bathrooms. I mean, that is just, right up my alley. But, you get the free milk and ice cream next door to us, so it's a great place to come stop. And I always love to spread the word, and especially there are booths around us every day that feature a different city, so we are able to go talk to maybe veterans from that city that aren't normally in the Metroplex. So it's a great, way to get out. Everyone has been asking me when I'm planning more family days this year for our local units, but it's just haven't had enough time. I mean, it's a grateful blessing, I guess, to have, because everybody's like, oh, we need to come here. We need to come here. Next weekend, we will be, we are doing another event, but I was thinking the weekend after Operation Homefront is helping out a lot of families here in the Metroplex, with school supplies and things like that. So we're going to go have a table out at Grand Prairie that weekend. The Air Force Sergeants Convention is coming up in August. We'll be there. It's always never ending. And I love working with all of my community nonprofits. I mean, it really is great to say you work with friends every day, because we've all become friends because we all go to the same events. And we're always telling each other, oh, are you going to this? Are you going to that? What's on your calendar?
Because a lot of times I'll go to an event and you'll be sitting there.
Yeah. So, everyone's like, do you take a rest? I was like, I really try to. I try. But it's, there's just so much need here. There is a debate now whether or not we've officially overtaken California for the most veterans. I went to go speak to the Texas Veterans Commission employment folks down in Killeen not too long ago, and I told them how we were number 2, and the whole room uproared and said we were number 1 now.
That's good.
And I do know for a fact, though, that Texas is the number 1 state for female veterans and post 9/11 veterans. And people are just coming here in droves, whether from California or, other places. And I argue they're coming to the Metroplex because the jobs are here. When I first started, my boss said there were over 400 military defense contractors here in DFW. So that, to me, right there, that's the jobs.
Yeah.
Because military defense contractors love to hire veterans, especially with that security clearance, things like that. And, and that also comes into a part of my job where I feel very blessed to be in this role, because I get to ask the veteran more than just, do you know about your benefits with the Veterans Land Board? I get to ask, how's your disability going? How's your mental health going? And mental health is so important to me. And I get to basically give a mini benefits fair to a veteran when I talk to them. For example, at the luncheon last month, I sat at a group full of Vietnam veterans. Not a single one of them knew about the PACT Act that was going on with the VA, and all of them qualified. The gentleman next to me was telling me how his granddaughter is going to school in the fall for college. He didn't realize he had a full college education he could pass to her because of his Hazelwood. So there's just education all
For
the
his
time.
granddaughter?
For his granddaughter.
Okay.
And he was literally about to cry, and then of course I was about to cry too, because
I had heard about going to the
And that's
because I did that for a long time, education
Yeah.
counseling. but I'm sure we'll get into Hazelwood as one of
Yeah,
the things.
it's something we want to talk about. But
It's my understanding they can be passed to grandkids. So, I said, you need to have your daughter or granddaughter call the financial aid service, like right now at the school, and see if we can't, help. I was like, if not, call TVC. They have an education department. Let's get your benefits. I was like, even if you can't pass it to her, you said your son's going to school for something else. He could use those hours. And it was just like, I love seeing the light bulbs just click.
because
more.
you get involved in things to help veterans know about not just the Texas Veterans Land Board, but what's going on in VA, because I think we're talking about the thing that's fixing to expire for Agent Orange or something. So
So the
is that-
deadline is August 9th, and that is to ensure back pay for the previous years. And so it's just so important that anybody who has been affected, that they just need to get into the VA. In fact, the North Texas VA is putting on different events this month to get the veterans out there. And I know I'll be reposting them on Facebook. I was going to send them to Mary so we can send it out to the big, roll call list. But I'm sure if we have listeners around the state, your VA is doing the same thing, because we do not want to miss that deadline.
because that's for the burn pits as well as the Agent Orange. So
And I believe there's another deadline, I think maybe for the younger generation in September, but I've been telling everybody, don't wait, just get in now. Treat the August 9th as your final deadline. And, just because for so long, nobody wanted to talk about how toxic Agent Orange was, and about how it has transcended 7 generations now. It's even infected the women who were the daughters, granddaughters, and great-granddaughters with their fertility, everything. And now the VA is finally doing something, so let's get in. And, there's been some questions about, well, I'm already 100%, what is it going to do for me? Well, this could be extra disability that could be left to your loved ones after you pass away. So, and one of the biggest qualifiers that they're looking for, especially in the older generation, is high blood pressure. And I know that there's a lot of older people that have high blood pressure that don't even look like they would have it, because they look reasonably fit.
called the silent killer, I think.
Yeah.
So
I just, when I think about one of my dear friends who is a Marine, he's my age, going to be 38 this year. He's had cancer at least 4 different times because he was exposed to the burn pits while in Iraq. And
they make the burn pit registry really challenging, because I went in there and the first in Kuwait, the location I was at, was on the list, and then I deployed again, so I tried to add my second one, and when I tried to add my second one, it kicked out my first one. So I'm like, and I've never been able to rectify that, but.
And it's things like that where I can
Yeah.
see where y'all get frustrated, and then you're like,
and then you just give
yeah.
up and you go, the heck with this crap. I'm not messing with it.
And so that's why I'm like, give the VA a chance. They are really trying to improve, and this is for you. I know it's been frustrating, but you have people around you who are advocates for you, and that know people that can help you walk through it. That's, I think, the biggest thing in both of our worlds is networking.
Right.
In truly networking with those who want to serve just like you. And I've been very, very blessed that I have the relationship and the familyness with you two and so many other organizations, because I know that if I needed something, I could just pick up the phone call and y'all be like, okay, we're on it. So, when this PAC thing, I'm kind of like, it's all right, it's time to sound the alarm. Basically the British are coming.
Yeah.
let's go. You got to get to the
Clock's
VA.
ticking. Let's go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Veterans Land Board.
Okay.
And my experience as a realtor was really the foreclosures that they had on veterans that got land, got it foreclosed, and back in the 80s, I mean, you didn't have to qualify or anything. I mean, it was like maybe $60 and you could go buy this property, and they financed it for a little down. And
So this is what I truly love about our agency. I teach veterans and military members now about the idea of investment and inheritance, because unless all of us are going to win that big lottery next week, like we've got to find other ways to build our investment and inheritance, and civilians are doing it. So why not veterans? And you mentioned, our land auctions, which I jokingly refer to as the Hunger Games, even though it's not that crazy. But, everyone during the pandemic was like, when are the land auctions back? Blah, blah, blah. So they're finally back. I think we've had them back now for about a year.
Just not many properties showing up right now, but there will be.
But that being said, though, that means that veterans are being able to afford their land and keep it. So, I mean, really, that's a great thing. But should a veteran, default on their property, we'll get it and we'll put it in our land auctions. We currently have a land auction right now. If anybody is listening today, we have 3 properties, I think, this time. And the auction is an online auction, so you just put in your bid online. You can change your bid up until the last moment. And then you can actually use the land loan to finance your bid. A lot of people don't realize that. And you don't have to apply for the land loan until you win the auction. You can bid on multiple properties, but the land loan only covers one property at a time, and you can only have one land loan at a time. But with our land loan, there's no building requirements, there's no penalty if you want to pay it off early, and you can use all of our loans as many times as you want to. So that's why I'm like, you can buy property and just sit on it, and then go buy some more and leave it to your kids and your grandkids. So, I'm just like, it's kind of a no-brainer, because most banks that do land loans, which there's not that many from what I understand, not only do they make you start building within 6 months, they could easily make you put down 20, 25%, sometimes up to 60%. Who has that kind of cash? The Veterans Land Board only starts with 5% down. Now, we right now only let you borrow up to 150. That could change. I know that there's been some conversations about it, but there's still quite a bit of land here in Texas, depending on where you want to go. You could just pick up some property and just kind of keep it, and then build a portfolio of properties,
a good idea,
including the land auctions. And if we have a property in the land auction that doesn't sell, we'll move it to type 2, and then that where anybody can buy it.
Open to the public.
Yeah, and so civilians can buy it, but if the civilians need a loan, we give them a whole interest point higher. And interesting fact, all of the interest from our loans goes to help pay for the nursing homes and cemeteries that we have around the state. So, not only are we trying to help veterans, with the American dream of buying land or building a home or even fixing their home, but now we're helping take care of you guys
And
later.
we've got a new facility here in Fort Worth.
Oh, we're so excited. We already have a waiting list, believe it or not. It's going to be such a huge
You see
game
my name
changer.
on there?
Not yet. Is your wife trying to kick you out? Or are the boys trying to? But let's talk about the nursing homes real quick, and then we can definitely get into the other. If there is anybody listening today, if you are 70% or more disabled, your stay is free, including medications and the therapies. Free. So most of y'all remember I broke my ankle and then
You were
at
in New York?
Christmas. Yeah, in New York. And I had to live in a nursing home till I could walk again. Without insurance, that nursing home would have been $18,000 a month. I know I don't have that. And I was just so thankful that, my insurance kicked in. We got everything in network. But I just met a lady who was referred to me from TVC this past week. And she's using her savings for her husband in a nursing home. And I said, wait a minute. Your husband's a veteran. And we also got her to include him with the PACT Act stuff because he was exposed to Agent Orange in Korea. I was like, if anything, you need to have him in the Bonham home because I'm sure it's a lot cheaper than a private nursing home. So got her, in touch with Amanda. But our nursing homes are not just for veterans. They're for spouses and Gold Star parents.
How many do we have in the state of Texas? Do you know?
We have 9 homes around the state. The Fort Worth home will be number 10. I believe the Fort Worth home is going to have 100 beds. It's about 35,000 square feet. It's going to be little cottages based off of, I think, the Tyler home. is where the other cottages. Every home's a little bit different, but some have cottages, some are just like a big building. But they also have memory care units. Not a lot of private homes have memory care units. And then also, we do not go after your assets to pay for the stay. You know, Texas is one of the few states that passed a law that says we can't go after your assets. So for me, as a military person, that's a no-brainer. And I'm trying to get my stepdad and my mom to move to Texas, but I'm pretty sure my stepdad is going to die on his land. You know, because, you know, just going through what I've been through as someone who is 37 years old, never dreaming I would have to live in a assisted living facility. You know,
How long did you do that? Was it a couple of months?
it was a couple months.
Yeah.
You know, in total from breaking to coming home, it was about 3 months. And, you know, when I woke up from surgery, they said I had COVID. So I had to live in the hospital during the height of the pandemic in New York. So that was interesting alone. But then moving to a nursing home and then doing the therapies and, you know, all of that. And it
It's
was
a scary time to be in a nursing home in New York.
Yeah.
They're just all out
It was at least
not good
10,
outcomes.
10 patients per one, like, CNA and one nurse. Like, I truly saw the horror of COVID and the stress that it had on the medical community. And, you know, and here I am, I could at least advocate for myself. I just couldn't walk or do anything. But thank God I had my faculties about me. But, you know, with our homes here in Texas, you know, it's all military. And, you know, so there's really no outsider unless it's a spouse. So, you know, I truly want to, you know, raise that. You know, you may not need it today, you may not need it tomorrow, but a lot of people, like especially my age and you guys, you know, if your parents are still living, we need to have these uncomfortable conversations because we need to have a plan. Because not most people know this, Medicare only pays about 100 days in the nursing home. And then what are you supposed to do? So, you know, if someone can have a free stay in our nursing home, that would be fantastic. And we have a lot of room in Bonham. That's our closest one to here. We have a lot of room in Big Springs. But the other home that are near us are Temple and Tyler. But if there's not an opening, like let's say if someone here in Fort Worth, you know, wanted to go into a home, we can put them in another home and then transfer,
That's
you know, at some point.
What's the time limit that they can be in the home?
There's no time limit.
There's no time limit. That's great.
Yeah.
When do they anticipate the one here opening up?
Well, as you know, construction is
Absolutely.
construction, but we are hoping sometime next year. And then just like with the soft opening that y'all attended, it's going to be a huge community event. And Dr. Buckingham will come up for that.
And that's the director for the Texas Veterans Land Board, is
Yes,
that?
she is our first female VLB chairwoman and first female land commissioner of Texas. So, you know, it's, as a woman, it's quite an honor to serve under the first female. And she is very, very dedicated to the veteran community. And so far, you know, I haven't seen anything go downhill, you know, since the transition. It's only been, how can we help support you? What have you been doing? You know, how can we help you do what you're doing and better? So, you know, as you know, my work hasn't stopped even between the transition of the two commissioners. But, you know, I'm very pleased with how supportive they are for the outreach, you know, for people like me. And when I ask, you know, for something, they're like, okay, let's do it. So, yeah, but the nursing homes, you know, I'm really glad that, you know, you brought that up because I feel like our Vietnam community is becoming our new World War II and Korean. You know, I get your emails, you know, when we get someone that passes away, and it just seems like it's happening more and more lately. And, you know, I would just hate for a family here in North Texas to not know that this is right there for them. And most of our residents have free stays. We want them to have free stays because, you know, we also, our sister agency is the Texas Veterans Commission. You know, if they need a reevaluation of their disability, let's get it done. There's healthcare advocacy with TVC. You know, they can help, you know, look into claims. They, there's so much out there for them. And, that being said, too, we just got a grant from the VA to open up our 5th cemetery. It's going to be in Lubbock. We're going to start the construction next year.
So we have one in Abilene, one down by Killeen, and then you're going to have one in Lubbock,
Yes.
and you've got one on the coast someplace?
In Mission and Corpus Christi.
Okay.
I've got several members that are saying, how do they get a hold of your agency?
We could go to the website, V as in Victor, L as in Lollipop, B as in Boy, .texas.gov. And if you go to the contact section, I'm the only girl on the contact section if y'all want to reach out to me.
Reach out to Mallory.
Yes, you could feel free to reach out to me. Happy to answer any questions. My email is on there.
And we'll have it posted here
Okay.
too. So
And is that also for the auction? I've got 2 veterans. that
Yes.
are-
Yep.
Yes.
If you go to that website and you click on land sales and you'll want to click on veteran and military only, that will show you the current properties. And then the other one is, for the properties that we don't sell that will turn over to civilians. Those are first come, first serve. We put up the properties about 60 days beforehand. So we have a newsletter that comes out once a month. Get on our newsletter. We put a lot of, stuff in there, events that we do. And that's one way to stay in touch with us monthly. And I promise we won't spam you. I worked in politics a long time, and I'm going to date myself. I have our newsletter subscription on my AOL address, and I only see it once a month. So we try not to send too many emails, but when we do, it's chock full of information.
and on the land, they don't just have land auctions, but you actually finance land, and you
Yes.
can finance construction too, can't you?
We don't do construction
Okay.
loans, so let's talk about the land loan a little bit, because
Okay.
a lot of people think that they can only buy land through our land auctions, but you can buy land anywhere.
Yeah.
So as long as it's an acre or more, access to a public road and not commercial, you can buy land anywhere in Texas. Also, no flood zones. And with that acre, it has to be, if there's an easement on the property. I learned so much about easements and things like that. Like in South Carolina, we don't have, it's not on our register. But if the property has an easement on it, it has to be 1 full acre plus the easement. And if I have any dual serving families on the call, or if 2 veterans want to buy land together, if the seller is willing to split the property down the middle and the county accepts it, and this all has to be done before you apply for the land loan, then theoretically both of you can apply for the max of 150 each, having 300,000.
But let's say, for instance, my wife and I, or Dave and Mary, we're all veterans.
Yes.
So could we go in? We wouldn't have to split it if we're married, would we?
So if both, it doesn't let you do 150 and 150
Okay.
per one property.
Okay.
You would have to have it split.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I tried to
And
do
then
all the
it'd be-
wiggle room I can.
Put an argument. You go on your side of the property,
yeah.
you know.
Now, if y'all
I
want
send
to,
him to the other side of the house
But
sometimes.
for instance, Mary and I could go in together and we could buy land like that and get half.
yeah,
and half.
it's just as long as the county accepts it, that
Okay.
maybe a little more. Surveys have to be done on the property,
It
but
costs you a little bit of money to get everything done correctly.
But the survey, we outline everything on our website. I tell everybody, go to forms on the top right-hand corner of our website. Read everything.
Really user friendly.
Yes, and read that handbook for the land loans and just study it. And I was like, don't apply until you are informed and ready. You don't necessarily have to have the property address when you apply, but don't just apply if you have no idea where you want to buy or if you haven't talked to a seller, because there's no reason to pull your credit if you're not ready.
Yeah.
And then, as I mentioned before, we only start with 5% down. We truly want to work with people, and we look at debt to income ratio and credit worthiness before a credit score number. So if veterans, if they think they don't qualify, come talk to us anyway. And then, there are mortgage lenders in our home network that would more than happy work with a veteran and get their credit and debt, down, because if you qualify for a home loan, you're going to qualify for anything that we do. And so, obviously land is king here in Texas. So, I'm just like, okay, how's this look? How does this look? They're like, well, what's too much? So I was like, all right, I'm going to give you an example. I was like, this guy had great credit score, but his DTI was over 45%, and he was denied a home improvement loan. I don't know exactly how high a DTI would be, but I was like, I know growing up, if your credit cards was more than 30%, that is a no-no. I would think in the same, your DTI needs to be under 30%.
But you do remodel loans or something?
So we do remodeling. So the only thing we don't do is construction and refinancing, because we try to give you all the deals up front. But with that land loan, a lot of people don't. This is also a big, misconception about Veterans Land Board. They think they can't buy land because they've already used their VA loan. The two have nothing to do with each other unless you're trying to combine it with a construction loan. So what we will do is we will take our land loan, then you go get a construction loan, build that beautiful house. Then we will come in like Superman and buy them both back from you and then turn them into a lower interest home loan. And then you can choose VA, FHA, or conventional financing. And then we give discounts to all veterans that have a disability of 30% or more by offering a half a point lower in interest. And then at that point, you can choose any home lender in our network to, oversee this.
So the construction, the rehab or remodel, so that's separate than the land loan. I mean, I could do it at my house.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So we could have a veteran maybe that's injured or something and needs his house handicap set up, and they could go through you to do that?
They can, but also this is another great, when I talk about learning things and for the community that nobody is talking about, the VA has so many programs out there for veterans. It's like, what door are you going to enter to learn about something first? So not everybody knows that the VA actually has housing grants out there for veterans just that may need a wheelchair ramp or may need to widen their bathroom just to go to the bathroom or lower the countertops because they're now in a wheelchair. So, I'm now starting to talk about those grants because, why
go get a loan when you get a grant?
Again, we do want the business, don't get me wrong, but, I think it's giving back to our community, especially for the veterans who maybe can't afford a loan with us, but desperately need these things. They can go to the VA and get that grant. Now, for the home improvement loan, though, we do everything. Roof, kitchens, bathrooms, foundations, irrigation, you name it. The biggest thing that I get a question about, because we live in Texas and it's hot, is the pool. Sadly, no pools, but, I make a quip that will put jacuzzis in all your bathrooms. So some people get really excited about that, But just like with the home loan, we give that half a point lower in interest on the home improvement loan.
That's good.
And here's what's really cool. You get to pick the contractor. It just can't be yourself. Because I know a lot of people are taught how to do home improvement type projects while they're in the military. And then sometimes these people, when they get out, they become licensed contractors. So I always like to ask people, what do you do for a living? And if they tell me they're a contractor, I'm like, did you know you could send your veteran clients to us for the financing? And that way we're helping a veteran business owner and a veteran family at the same time.
Yeah.
But
those are things you just don't realize.
Right.
Right.
Or like, let's say someone buys a fixer-upper through you and they need some improvements. They can come through us to get, if they want to remove the popcorn ceiling or the shag green carpet, out of the house. So like we help do all of those things.
She's been
flooring.
watching HGTV.
Just a little too much.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little much. HGTV kept me very sane when I was in the hospital. So that and Pawn Stars on History Channel. So, there's just so many projects. So on our website, we have a list of everything that we do and don't do. We even do solar panels. That's becoming a big thing. And, it's my understanding, too, the SBA is giving e-solar loans for people who want to build solar farms because, sometimes states can't keep up with the power grid. So why not buy some land through us? And because of that no building requirement, build a solar farm. And you could get things like the solar flower, which are self-cleaning, excuse me, and they close up during bad weather. We would just need to find a way to tie it down if you want to, get your solar panel through the Veterans Land Board. Because we're all about...
The land has to be in Texas.
Yes, it has to be all in Texas, not like a sliver in New Mexico or, Oklahoma. But the fact that, again, like I say, you can use all of these, and as many times as you want to, you can use them in conjunction with each other. So how that would work is your client comes to you, Rick, and they say, I want to buy land. So we get it through the Veterans Land Board. They go get a construction loan, and then you'll come back and help them with the home loan. And then in 90 days, they're eligible for the home improvement loan. Now, you've heard me mention investment and inheritance opportunities. So if you combine a land loan and a construction loan into a home loan, what became just free again for you to go buy? More land. So the cycle just keeps, on and on.
That's a good thing to do.
And also, as you probably know, there's no rule in the VA rule book that says you can't rent out a room. So you can also buy duplexes, quadplexes, and apartment complexes with your VA loan. So you can do that through us. So we just have a rule that if the apartment or the duplex building is not even 5 years old, it won't count. It has to be older than 5 years old. But there are veterans now taking that concept and buying, these types of properties and building investment and wealth, and where they're living in one of the rooms for a certain amount of time and renting out the other rooms, using that rent to help pay for the property, and then going and doing it somewhere else. I went to a real estate veterans seminar earlier this year, and I met an Air Force veteran out of Florida, and he buys small apartment complexes of 7 rooms or so, and he's turning them into boutique hotels. I was like, that is genius. And he's in Florida, so what a great moneymaker, because Florida's a huge, vacation destination. So I take all these things and I just, file them up in my brain, and I'm just like, okay, what do you need? And I'll just, pull the file or, the Rolodex
You're just
down.
a wealth of knowledge,
Yeah.
I mean, really, I mean, it's just, I'm always amazed because, you know about the Texas Veterans Land Board, but you also know about all these other things that you can help. It's not just, here, this is all we're going to talk about.
This is our box and what we do, and we don't step
And
outside
such a
of
good
it.
resource, because we can say, hey, Mallory, we got this. Well, we don't do that, but I know these people do. So
It's just and thankfully with having a sister agency as the Texas Veterans Commission,
do they come under the Veterans Land Board, or is that different?
We're separate, but we
Okay.
just work in conjunction. Our call center is the same. So when you call us, you can get help with VLB stuff, but you can also get help with claims, mental health. They have a women's department, at TVC. Catherine Smith is the the TVC women's rep for North Texas. They even have an entrepreneur section. So if a veteran wants to apply for a business or needs help building a business, or even, doing an LLC, people charge for that. And, TVC can kind of help you do it for the cheapest amount possible. They even have a free business registry for veterans. And they can give you the social media tools so you can put it on your website and Facebook and all of that. Because, as you know, veterans love to support other veterans. So, just today a veteran was asking about where can I find cheap mattresses, and I was like, I have a guy. I met him. He lives in Fort Worth. I was like, that's his business. And I was like, I bought my bed frame from him. He's really good. Give him a call. So, I feel like, the family just needs to know about the other services that are out here.
Right.
So, but there's the Texas Veterans Commission has 8 different departments. So if you have a problem, you just call them.
And that's another one of those organizations that veterans
Need
simply
to know
don't
about.
know about.
Yeah.
And I tell them all the time, if you need to file a claim, if you need help with anything concerning your disability rating, anything of that nature that you go, I can't get any help from the VA.
Yeah.
Don't even talk to the VA.
Yeah.
Call
Yeah.
the Texas Veterans Commission, get an appointment, and hand it off to them, and then you just sit back and they do everything. It's
There,
amazing.
there is no reason in today's time that veterans should have to pay somebody to do their claim.
Right.
Not when there are all of these free resources. And the Texas Veterans Commission is way bigger than we are. They have people in every county and multiple people in every county.
Yeah.
And
I
they
got
have
with them.
offices like
Yeah.
here in the county.
Everybody told me, when you retire, you need to make sure. And I'm like, I don't have anything to even claim and everything else. And when I was doing my exit physical, my retirement physical, the doc said, no, I think you should probably have them review your records and all that stuff. And I didn't even talk to the VA. I called the Texas Veterans Commission. I got an appointment, and they had me send them some stuff, sign some papers, and I didn't do anything else but go to appointments. They did everything else. I didn't have to do a thing. And it's beautiful, and people will not. I tell them all the time. Did you call the Texas Veterans Commission?
No.
Okay, well, I can't help you anymore.
Even if people have already filed, and it doesn't hurt to get a second look at things,
Right.
because you don't know, especially like 20 plus years ago, something could have been left out. We see that all the time, or at least I do when
Because
I'm
they didn't
talking
know
to
about
people.
PTS.
Right. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And even if you have people don't realize that if they got a 0 rating in something, that you could still, a 0 rating is fine. I have several 0 ratings, and sometime in the future,
That's your rating.
those may be able to go up.
Recently I was talking with somebody at the VA, and they were saying how mental health plays such a role, that somebody who is suffering from like PTSD, they could be grinding their teeth at night, which leads into
TMJ
that's
or-
something,
yeah.
Right.
that could lead to almost 50% off your dental care. So always, don't be silent, speak up, because there are people like me, like you, that are just be like, oh, we got a person, just let me get on the phone. And then I always tell that veteran, I was like, if that person doesn't work for you, you tell me, we'll go find somebody else.
Let's circle back for just a second
Oh, yeah.
and talk about the cemeteries.
Yes.
What's the qualifications?
So our state cemeteries are supplements to the national cemeteries.
Okay.
There are so many people like moving here in Texas and everything. Dr. Kelly, I think, was telling me that we really need 5 more cemeteries before it's all over with. And he was telling me the math and, things like that of what it takes just to get a national cemetery in an area. And I think it was like at least 80,000 people for a need. So obviously with everybody moving here, as you can see, like we need the help. So the state cemeteries, we follow pretty much all of the VA guidelines, just like a national cemetery.
Just have to be the veteran, and then the spouse can get buried there too?
Yes.
And there's no charge?
Yes, veterans and spouses are buried for free. When we talk about the cemeteries, I just make the joke, you just got to worry about your casket, your flowers, and how you're going to get there. Everything is free after you get into the gate. We did the maintenance, we do, everything. In fact, you can pre-register for a spot at one of our cemeteries. So what you do is go on our website, fill out the form, and we encourage you to actually go take it to the cemetery, go visit the cemetery. But otherwise you can fax it to us. Now, we will guarantee you a spot, but it may not be in a spot that you want. So if you want to be on the hill and the sun shine down on you at 12 o'clock every day, that we can't promise. But we can promise you a spot.
But
I like to sunbathe.
at the cemetery, the Central Texas one down at Clean, one day they had an unaccompanied veteran, and they put the word out. I went down there to take pictures, and there was about 2,000 people that showed up for that veteran that was unaccompanied, and it just blew me away. Because I've gone to some at the National Cemetery, and sometimes it's me and the guy from the cemetery and maybe 1 or 2 other people.
I have to say, I am so proud of our communities all over Texas. They do not disappoint. Whether it's the unaccompanied burials, which I think is the most proud program that we offer, I think it's the most special. And if anybody is not aware of that program, if there is a veteran out there that has no family, we will bury him or her for free in one of our cemeteries.
And that's one of those, I get a notification whenever that
Yes.
happens. So
So, yes, when you sign up for our newsletter and you hit that checkbox that you want to be informed of the cemeteries, we will let you know as soon as we know that a funeral is going to happen. Usually it's only about a week, maybe 2 weeks of, ahead of time, but we do let you know. I encourage everyone listening today to go on Facebook and follow the cemeteries that you want, that are near you, so you can get the updates, because sometimes social media may be faster than you clicking an email. Sometimes I will admit I'm a little bit on social media too much, versus checking my email, because I get so much spam. I find more enjoyment on social media. So, it's just another way to keep in touch with us. But obviously the newsletter is huge, because we will send out specialized emails for those who want to hear about the burials, and we encourage the community to come. And as you can see, they do not disappoint. We even have our birthday card drives that we do for our residents in the nursing home when they turn 100 years old. Mr. Reed, who was our latest resident turning 100 years old, he got over 4,000 cards from all over the world. And you, just like, with our cemeteries on Facebook, please follow the homes on Facebook. We even still have our program where you can go match with a veteran on our website and send letters, cards, and pictures. We developed that during the pandemic because we didn't know what was going to happen, and we had to keep, our residents safe. But we still have that, but the homes are still open. If you want to go visit, give the on-site rep a call and see what's going on. But the one in Bonham, they just had a Easter egg hunt and roll for the community at the home. So each home has all these different
some
activities.
community involvement.
And then, speaking of homes, just as a general note, if you are looking into that for your loved one, here's some of the requirements that we looked at when I had to go find one for myself. Look at the activity calendar and go to their Facebook page and make sure they're actually doing the activities, not just the calendar. That will be a huge indicator of how active they are with the residents. And also read the Google reviews. So I had 3 homes to choose from when I was in New York. 2 of them were full of Google reviews from the employees. That was concerning to me. I need to hear from the families, not from, people who just work there. So, those are just some of the, tips that I like to pass on to people, if they have to look for that. But, gosh, as you can see, there's just so much that we do.
I know.
And
And our time's getting short. We've got
Yeah.
about 5 more minutes.
Oh my gosh.
So, the hour went pretty quick. So let's just kind of highlight
okay.
some of the other things that y'all do, because you do so much, and an hour is just not enough time to go through it. But
So quickly, we do come into the community. Please go on our website, and under the contact form, there's a speaker request form. Fill it out. We love to go to businesses that hire a lot of veterans, or if you are in a unit, we will come speak to your unit. We help plan family days. At least that's what I've been doing. But for the land, you can buy anywhere in Texas. Just, acre or more, access to a public road, not commercial. With your home loan, we do all 3 financing options. We give you a discount if you're 30% or more. We let you borrow up to $726,200. And then home improvement loan, we let you borrow up to $50,000. Anything over 25, they'll assess the equity of your house. But you can do multiple projects under one loan. You just submit the bids. We ask that the work not be started or materials purchased before we cut you the money, but you have up to 20 years to pay that off. And you have up to 30 years to pay the land off, and up to 30 years to pay the home off. And no penalty to pay off early. And you can use us as many times as you want to, pay it off and come back again and again. Nursing homes, veterans, spouses, Gold Star parents. The veterans and spouses only have to live in Texas 1 day. In fact, everything that I'm talking about today, you only have to live in Texas 1 day for. The Gold Star parents have to live here at least 30 days. So, and then,
and the Gold Star spouse would be included with,
Yeah.
I guess, the...
And then for the cemeteries, everything is free after you get in the gate. So, Yes, that is the quickest rundown I've ever done.
And so we talked earlier before the show about getting you involved at NASJRB Fort Worth. So to my Air Power Council members, we need to work on that and start getting Mallory out there. We'll talk to the skipper too and get you out there so you can start beating the drum out there, because you offer a lot of services that the people that are out there can certainly use. So.
And, if anybody, again, is listening, if you need help with something and you don't know where to go, please reach out to me, reach out to Mary, reach out to Rick, at least ask somebody, and we will get you the help that you need.
And that's one thing we try to do at Roll Call is, make our members aware of things, the activities coming up and things like that, because that's so important, because not everybody's connected like we are in social media and in the veteran community, but we have a lot of people that come to Roll Call that need to know about your services, about the Texas Veterans Commission and things like that. So it's so important that as you're out there speaking, we're out there to be a resource too.
Yeah, because you guys have more access to more people than, let's say, just me. So everybody on the call today, your homework is to go tell 10 people about me, and then they have to go tell 10 people, because we want everybody, one, to be on our newsletter, to hear about the best benefits that you can't find anywhere else in the country. To my knowledge, nobody has a comprehensive program like this.
Let's say,
I think Texas is so unique with the Texas Veterans Commission, the land board, everything that we do in Texas being so military friendly.
Yeah.
And like Rick said, a big thing that, I always try to do every luncheon is, in the couple of minutes that I take before we actually get to the speaker, is to just highlight something like you said. You sat at a table at the luncheon. There's 8 chairs at the table, and 7 of them had no clue. And so, if we don't even putting it out in writing, sometimes you have to give it to them in writing, verbally, every which way that you can, because it might take that 1 or 2 or 3rd or 4th time they hear it for them to have it click when they need it. And whether or not you can help them with something specifically through the land board, or you can help them by saying, we can't help you, but so-and-so can.
Right.
and the Hazelwood Act, does that come under the Texas Veterans Commission? Okay.
Yes.
And so we'll talk some more about that.
Yeah, because I've used it. And I didn't until, so we never, when I was in the education office on base, working in the education office and counseling people about how to go to school for free, because I love to do that, we never talked about the Hazelwood Act until we got a certain captain in our office who just retired as a colonel, but he used it, and so he explained it to us, and so we were like, because the chief we worked for said, I don't get it, I don't understand it, so we're not telling anybody about it. And so he said, what do you mean? It's a great benefit. And so he explained it to all of us. We all got educated. And boy, I'll tell you, I sold the Hazelwood like crazy.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yes.
It is. I mean, it's free college education.
50 hours.
Just like free nursing home, like.
I'm a fan of free.
Yes, I love free. I'm a couponer and I love free. So, that's, if anything, I will always be telling you about your benefits and your discounts.
And we appreciate that.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And you do such a good job. And I know that some of the people in your office are listening today. And we just Mary and I want to tell them how we appreciate you so much, because you are an asset to our veterans and our community. You're out there all the time, and you're a great fan of the veterans, and you're helping so many people. So,
my brother-in-law's active duty Army, and just meeting the people that I have, I just want to leave this world a better place than how y'all found it or how y'all were entered into it, literally. So if I can help somebody have an easier transition or to fix a problem, then that's what we do.
and we appreciate you being here today. And we'll have a link to we'll put your email up there.
Okay.
And then we've got the Texas Veterans Land Board to where they can sign up for the newsletter and go right to the website, and probably the Facebook page too, because
Yes, we're on Instagram as Texas Veterans. We're Twitter as I think Texas VLV. We're on Facebook. I think we even do YouTube. So we have many social medias. There's plenty of ways to find us, and but send me an email. Like I said, go to their website. I'm the only female on the contact, so not hard to find me. And if you forget my name, I'm named after Mallory from Family Ties.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you for being here, and we certainly want to have you back.
would love to.
Maybe not an official show, but maybe in the evening or something. We'll get plugged in to where you can